Every time I tell someone that I'm a singer, the next question that usually follows is, are you on Broadway? It used to be a hard no. No, I don't do Broadway. I'm an opera singer. But now it's a maybe. And today we're going to go into what the real differences are between musical theater and opera. Let's jump in. Hi, this is Opera for Black Folks, serving culture to all folks. And on this channel, I break down the classical arts, opera, and the artist's journey from a Jamaican American perspective. Wagwan. Okay, so today we're talking about musical theater, opera, and we're also going to talk about Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I was going to say opera from the musical. I'm looking forward to breaking down the differences and the similarities between opera and musical theater. Here we go. Musical theater and opera share three characteristics, and this is what I think makes them related to each other. Both opera and musical theater have actors that sing instead of speaking. They have dancing that sets the historical tone and sometimes moves the story forward, as well as portrays a story that has been set to music and has musical influence. And I think opera is the mother and musical theater is the child. And this is where the child differs from the parent. The differences for opera is that the stories are set from all over the world, whereas American stories, while they can be about foreign lands, they usually are relegated to American-based stories. And musical theater was actually a true safe haven for immigrants, for the LGBTQAI+ community, and for the Jewish community. In those communities, and under the umbrella of musical theater, they were allowed to thrive, support each other, and have acceptance and create community where the rest of the world was maybe shunning them for the things that made them uniquely different. And so it began to shape the way that we receive and express music specific to America that opera does not share. The musical theater does have way more dancing, and that the dancing does actually and can move a storyline forward, that the singers are actually dancing and singing the plot line as it goes forward, and then there's a huge dance number where there's primarily dancers coming in to dance. Whereas in opera, it's usually separate, where the singers are not also going to be the dancers, although it does exist in stories like Champion, which I just did with the Lyric Opera of Chicago this past January. But traditionally, the dancing that does happen in opera is separate from the singers, and the two don't often intertwine. Musical theater does focus on more spoken dialogue, where they have more acting focused without singing being the way that the story is communicated. Whereas opera, while it does have spoken dialogue in a lot of its operas, especially a lot of operetta, but it's not the norm across all genres of opera. So another major difference is that musical theater has a tendency to use microphones, whereas opera singers most definitely feel like they're being offended if you dare put a microphone in front of them. And I can account for the fact that I'm genuinely uncomfortable in front of a microphone because I'm like, you are messing with my ability to project sound, right? Which means that the singers don't have to work as hard in musical theater because there's a mic taking up a lot of the work of actually learning to project, whereas opera singers spend their entire lives learning to perfect what it is to send sound from their bodies to be projected into large audience halls. The halls are larger, whereas, the Met can sit up to almost 4,000 people. And if I'm wrong, I will put the correct number here. In musical theater, the theaters seat about 300 or less, and they have a much smaller audience to work with. And so that leads me to my next difference, is that there are smaller orchestras for musical theater. Musical theater can have anywhere from 27 instrumentalists to 2 or 3. Whereas with opera, it's completely different. You need at least 100 people. You can do some smaller things with chamber music, but then that's a very different focus. But when it's opera, specifically opera, it's going to need to be supported by at least 100 people who are playing instruments underneath the storyline to help carry the story forward, right? But today we're going to jump into the story of The Wizard of Oz. Let's jump into the fun facts about this musical. The story of Wizard of Oz is a 1939 American musical fantasy film, which was inspired, MGM was inspired to do something because the Disney story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs had just premiered and was a wonderful success. It also inspired MGM to do this same idea with the story of The Wizard of Oz. And the story was adapted from L. Frank Baum's 1900s children's fantasy novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And before it was a film, The Wizard of Oz was an incredibly popular and successful musical in 1902. And the music for its show is lost to time, but it was written by Paul Tietjens. He is an American composer of the early 20th century, and it was so popular, this show, that traveled around the US and was enjoyed by countless people at this time. It's said that a lot of those themes and a lot of the things that made the musical, the original 1902 musical, popular were implemented into the Wizard of Oz, the fantasy film that we know of today. All right, so we're jumping into Act 1 of The Wizard of Oz, and we come upon Dorothy. She's on her farm in Kansas. She's chatting with the farmhands. She's chatting with Aunt Em and Uncle Henry. But as she's chatting with the farmhands and just being a teenage girl who is not quite a child but not quite an adult, and kind of annoying her aunt and annoying the barn hands and everything, and then Aunt Em is like, Dorothy, just, go somewhere and just stay out of trouble. Just go somewhere and be good. And so Dorothy walks off with Toto, and she ponders, where could that somewhere be where you're not getting in trouble and you're being good?
A place where there isn't any trouble. Do you suppose there is such a place, Toto? There must be. It's not a place you can get to by a boat or a train. It's far, far away. Behind the moon, beyond the rain.
And she then has this moment where she leans back and she sings,
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
So now we're going to listen to Somewhere Over the Rainbow with music by Harold Arleen and lyrics by Yip Harburg from the musical The Wizard of Oz. Okay, that's my share for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed learning the differences between musical theater and opera, as well as getting a recap of The Wizard of Oz. If you have not seen it, you can watch it online. Go help yourself. Also, I hope you appreciated the music. So if you did, please like this video. I really appreciate those likes. This is Opera for Black Folks, serving culture to all folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Ciao!